Hey everybody, Chef Bates here. We are going to be doing 3 different rice dishes, going over some of the basic information that you'll need to know about rice. There's 2 basic families of rice. There's Japonica rice, that's the short little fat ones that make sushi rice. The way I remember is it sounds like Japan. I mean, it's not spelled like Japan, but it sounds like Japan, and in Japan people are frequently short. So the Japonica rice is the short rice. Indica rice is the medium and the long grain rice. That's what we're going to make our white rice and our rice pilaf from. 2 types of rice, very different in the way that they're made and they're constructed, and it has to do with the starch. We'll come back to that later. But first we're going to start with some plain, super easy, basic white rice. All right, so rice is funny in that the water and the rice go in at the same time along with the salt, and a good hit of, in goes the rice. Stir it around a little bit. We're going to start it on high. We need it to come up to a boil and then come down to a simmer. The lowest simmer we can possibly get. You good? Okay, so the salt's in there. We're going to wait till it comes up to a simmer. It's going to come up to a simmer fast. It's going to come up to a simmer fast because there's not a huge amount of water, and gas burners are a lot stronger than the electric burners we have in there. So as soon as it comes up to a simmer, you start seeing some bubbles popping up. See those little bubbles popping up? You'll also see the water starting to swirl a little, so you'll see a little motion. That's when you're going to turn it down. You're going to turn it down to low as you can go. On a gas burner, that's tricky because they tend to turn off. That's pretty dang low right there. All right. Lid goes on and you set your timer. You're going to set your timer for 20 minutes. Exactly. Thank you very much, Mr. Cameraman. So that rice is good. I'm just going to set it here. It's going to go up. I'm going to keep an eye on it. Rice does have a tendency to boil over if your oven's running a little hot. If it boils over, not the end of the world. Just add a tiny little bit of water. That'll cool the rice back down, put the lid back on, and lower the temp. But if it boils over and you don't add a little bit of water, you've lost some of the water that was hydrating your rice. Your rice is going to end up crunchy. Nobody wants crunchy rice. They want al dente rice, a little bite in the center of the grain. Pilaf is a classic rice dish, made famous in Italy, and it is a considerably different process. All we're doing is adding water and rice. Super easy. This is a different set of ingredients altogether. So we mise en place these. We got our rinsed long grain rice. This is a jasmine. We've got some parsley. We've got some finely minced up onion. We've got some finely minced up carrot. And of course, we've got our chicken stock and a little bit of oil. So first things first, we're going to get our pan hot. See, it's on high. Come on over, Mr. Cameraman.
Meow.
I'm using a very fancy tool for this. It's called a spoon. Very fancy tool. I don't need a giant spatula. A little spoon's fine. Dude, a little spoon's great. We're going to add our oil. In this case, this recipe calls for a certain amount of oil. A certain amount. Usually it's just, this is about 2 tablespoons, just enough to coat the bottom, plus a little extra. Into there, I'm going to put my onions and my carrots. Onions. Ooh, love that sound. Stir that around a little. Then I'm going to add my carrots. Ooh. Those finely brunoised carrots, they're there for flavor and add a little bit of additional color. Now you can add anything you want to rice pilaf. You can add anything you want. Oh, look up here. They're done with that. Nothing new in there. You can, rice pilaf is super versatile. You can think like fried rice. Fried rice, you can get shrimp fried rice, pork fried rice, beef fried rice, all different varieties. This is another one where there's a seafood pilaf would be delicious. Shrimp and scallops. Lobster would be great. Lobster pilaf. Doesn't that sound good?
Yes, absolutely.
What else? Good. I mean, there's so many flavor combinations. The thing that you want to do with the rice pilaf is there's some rules. Rule number one: we're going to toast our rice. We're going to simmer it covered, just like the regular rice. We're going to simmer it covered. Then we're going to fluff at the end. Toasting the rice means I'm going to add my rice to this oil, and I'm going to toast the rice with my aromatics until the rice starts to turn translucent around the edges, which means that it's going to go from being bright white like this to pale, almost see-through. That's what translucent means. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for our rice to get just translucent right around the edges and slightly golden. Some chefs say it'll start to smell a little nutty, like toasting almonds or toasting walnuts.
So good.
All right, bring over the cameraman.
Yep.
We're gonna make a little hole in the center. We're gonna add just a little bit more oil right there to the spot, just a little bit, and we're gonna add in all of our rice, and then we're gonna toast our rice with those aromatics. Now this recipe makes a lot. This recipe makes a lot. So if Chef Matt tells you, or I tell you, that we're going to cut the recipe in half because it makes too big of a portion, that's no big deal. All the rules are going to be the same. So when you're toasting your rice, you want to keep it in motion. Keep it in motion, make it dance, 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 make it dance. Dancing rice is really cool, and that is why I stay in school. Dancing rice!
Dancing rice.
Dancing, dancing rice.
Dancing rice.
You're so delicious, dancing rice.
Delicious rice.
Okay, so you see what happened, right? The oil, you can hear it. Listen. There's no visible oil on the bottom. You can hear steam evaporating. You can hear it. And that means that we are ready for our liquid. And we're going to add all of our pre-measured chicken stock that we made when we were mise en placing directly in. Now, do you have to use chicken stock? No, dude. You can use shrimp stock, you can use beef stock, you can use fruit juices. Once you're 21, you could use a wine. A white wine pilaf is delicious. See how quickly the rice starts to absorb the liquid? Okay, it's time to turn this baby down to super low. And on goes a lid. When do you put on the parsley?
When do you put on the parsley?
Are you back on me yet?
Yeah, you've been on.
Okay, cool. So when do you put on the parsley? That goes on at the end. We can save that off to the side. We'll set it off to the side. Our pilaf can join our plain white rice. Notice how much steam is coming off to the side? That means it might be in danger of boiling over. So I'm just going to take a look at it. No, it's fine. It's fine. It looks delicious. All right. So you notice how I'm starting this, right? The thing that takes the least amount of energy, I'm starting that first. The thing that takes a moderate amount of energy, I'm starting that second. Risotto starts third. That's the way I am doing it by myself. You've got a team of 4 to 5 kids. You can do multiple people can do multiple things. Go crazy. 2 people cook 2 rices. 3 different people cook 3 rices. Who knows? The world's your oyster. The point is you're going to cook all 3 rices during this one lap. This is not one of those things where you can take your time. Let's start your risotto. In order to start your risotto, you're going to need Two things. You're going to need one pan for the risotto itself and another pan to warm up your stock. Now the broth, when you're adding it to risotto, has to be hot. Not boiling, hot. Because as we cook the risotto, we are going to be adding a little bit of hot broth a little at a time. So you're going to want to have your pot and have your stock warming. The first step of making risotto is to cook your mushrooms. We're going to cook them and we're going to set them off to the side. And you say to me, Chef, I hate mushrooms. I don't like mushrooms. They taste like feet. You don't know. Maybe you're going to like this one. You don't know. You don't know.
Or they like feet.
Maybe you like feet. Weirdo. But we're going to start by cooking down our mushrooms. And we're going to cook them with a little bit of olive oil. And we're going to cook them with a little bit of butter. Now you've got 1.5 tablespoons of butter in this guy. We're going to take half of it at the beginning and get it hot. I got a tablespoon of olive oil and about 1.25, maybe 3/4 of a tablespoon of butter. Oh, we're layering some flavor in that fat. Now this is a trickier dish. Risotto is a trickier dish. You can totally do this, and I know you're going to be great. But I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of people mess up risotto the first time they try. So we got super easy plain rice. Your little sister can do it. Your little sister can do it better than you. Your little sister can make that one. You got that. No biggie. The pilaf, a little bit more challenging. Some of you are going to burn your onions, or you're going to cut your carrots too big, and they're not going to cook down, and they're going to be crunchy and disgusting, and you're going to go, I don't like pilaf. Well, no, you don't. You might like pilaf, you just don't like the way you made it. This one, totally different. This actually a little trickier. So we've got half of a pound of sliced white onion. Now these aren't thinly sliced. I could go thinner, but you're not here and I am, and I like mushrooms, so I want to eat them. So they're going to go in first. Onions have a lot of moisture. They are roughly 90 to 95% water. So we need to cook these guys down. The salt works to help bring out some of that moisture.
You kept saying onions. These are mushrooms.
I did not.
Yes, you called these onions twice.
Well, they're not onions, they're mushrooms. What a pain in the butt. Super pain in the butt. All right, so we're going to cook down our mushrooms, and then using our extraordinarily fancy tool, the spoon, we're going to start stirring them around. Now we're going to, these guys have to soften. It's going to take a hot minute. While the mushrooms are softening, let's talk the difference between arborio rice and everything else. Arborio rice, short, fat little grain. I'm going to put up a image of the rice here. That is arborio rice. It is a classic Italian product. They're short, they're fat, they have something called amylopectin as their starch content, which makes them, they produce, as they cook, they release from the surface of the rice starch. If you cook risotto correctly, as you're stirring it, you're releasing that starch and it's spreading out. And it creates a sauce. If you make your risotto right, it'll look like it has cream in it. It'll look like it has cream, seriously. It doesn't. That cream is the released starch from the rice. It also should be kind of loose. It should be almost soupy. Lots of people make their risotto the very first time and they go, it's like a soup. I can pour it, I have to eat it with a spoon, I have to eat it out of a bowl. I'm expecting my rice to be like, my mom's rice, hard and stiff and sits on the plate like a brick. This is not that. This should be a little bit soupier. And while you're cooking down your mushrooms, you're just turning them over. They're going to sear, and that searing is going to create some wonderful caramelization. And as you remember from Culinary 1, when Chef Matt taught you about the Maillard reaction, the Maillard reaction is when proteins caramelize in the presence of high heat. And that creates that wonderful flavor that we associate with browning. All of the great browning flavors. The outside of steak, toast, a creme brulee, the crust of pizza. All of those flavors are the result of what's called a Maillard reaction, as you have already been carefully taught by Chef Matt. And I'm just reminding you of things you already know. Once your mushrooms get down to about this stage, they have been caramelized pretty dang well. Got some good caramelization going on there. They've definitely softened a whole lot. That's when I'm going to throw in my shallots. Shallots. You think it's a shallot. Everybody calls it a shallot. It is not a shallot. A shallot is a green onion. A shallot is a little French baby. I'll put up an image here so you can see what it looks like. And we're putting in about a tablespoon of those for some delicious flavor. Has kind of a light, sweet, aromatic flavor. I'm going to add those right in there. Now in your recipe, it says that at this point you should remove the mushrooms and add your rice. So we're going to do that now. We've got this lovely little caramelized mushroom, and I wish you were here. It smells so good. Dude, it smells so good. So I have my container set aside. I'm just going to put them right out. I'm not going to clean it, the pan. I don't want to lose those good flavors in there. Lovely. So I got my mushrooms reserved right here. I'm going to take the rest of that butter. Remember, I split my tablespoon of butter. Go down. There you go. In goes the butter. I'm going to add in just a little bit more oil, or as my grandfather would call it, oil. I put in some oil. Swirl it around. See all that good flavor down there? The French call that the fond. F-O-N-D. The fond. It is the flavor in the pan. That's really good stuff. We don't want to rinse that out. That's really good stuff. What's going to happen is when we put in our rice and we caramelize it in here, also notice, very important, I did not rinse this. I need the starch. On the other rice, I rinsed the starch off, the surface starch. Here, not so much. One fancy spoon. We should do a podcast.
We should.
We can call it Cooking with Chef and His Friend.
That sounds like I'm a special needs friend.
Oh, if the toque fits.
Cancel.
Okay, so check it out. Check it out. Look in the bowl. Okay, see how the butter is literally frying the onions? That's kind of what we want. Here's what's happening. The outside of the rice is cooking, and it's creating like a shell. A little shell. It's creating a little shell to protect it from all the liquid we're about to add. So it will still have texture right on the inside and be super soft on the outside. That's what you want your risotto to be like. You don't want it to be mushy. You know, you don't want it to be mushy. I was about to make a bad joke.
Don't make the joke.
It's Friday late, and I'm cooking at school while everybody else is home, and I'm supposed to be out with friends.
And eating your candy.
All right, so this is not a time to play around. Your rice is going to cook fast. It's already cooked. See? A little brown around the edges. See? A little brown around the edges. This is when we're going to start adding our liquid. So with a ladle, we're going to add about a ladle of a hot liquid at a time. Watch. One at a time. First couple times, it's going to go like this. Super, super high. So we're going to turn down the heat. That first bit was just to turn down the heat. Look at that. Now that's very golden brown.
It's like
there are purists who would say that is too caramelized. And I would say to you, those purists are wrong. Now, if you want to have a risotto that, for whatever reason, you're like, I want it to be really creamy and almost white, then you wouldn't caramelize it this deeply. But I don't want that. It's my lunch. So this is one of those times where what you're doing is you are cooking based on your knowledge. Risotto is more a technique than a recipe. There are some recipes where you have to follow every single thing, every single ingredient exactly. The cool thing about rice is there's not that much about it. It's not that much. It's more along the lines of what are you looking for in your final product. Let's say you don't like mushrooms at all, but you still need some kind of something to give it some flavor. Otherwise, it's really plain and boring and disgusting. And, your friends will give it a try. They'll say this is the worst thing I've ever had. They'll leave you, you will end completely alone. You will hunt the landscape for a friend, and you will find no one because of your bad risotto. You'll certainly die alone. So instead of dying alone, let's find a different vegetable, something else you like. Something else you think is good. All right?
So you mentioned not rinsing your rice off for the first two.
For the risotto?
Yeah, for the risotto.
We did rinse the rice for the other two.
So what would happen if we didn't rinse off the rice in the first two batches of rice?
All right, so what would happen is the surface starch would still be there, and as it cooked, that surface starch would make it gummy. You ever made rice and you get to the very end and you're trying to fluff it and you can't fluff it, it's all sticking together?
Mm-hmm.
That's because of surface starch. It can also come from cheap rice. There's rice with different costs and people think that they're all the same. They're not. Cheap rice tends to be starchier rice.
When do you add the mushrooms back in?
Okay, great question. So once your risotto you've cooked it and you've tasted it and seasoned it to taste, you're going to cook it. Basically, you're going to stir. It takes about 20-30 minutes to make risotto. This is one of those things you're definitely going to want to start right at the beginning of the period. You're not going to want to wait till the end. At the very end, that's when you add your mushrooms back in. You stir it through. It's also when you're going to add your Parmesan.
Will there be other different types of rice that we could use for pilaf and risotto? Can we all
absolutely.
switch them?
So there's a bunch of medium and long grain rice that is great. Texmati rice, which is one of the most popular rices in the world right now. It's a uniquely American product. It's a blend of native rice to America with basmati. Texmati, wonderful rice for pilaf, wonderful rice for just everything. It's a good medium grain rice. Now it's not a super long grain, fragrant rice like jasmine. Jasmine is world famous for having a wonderful aroma, all unique to itself. There's nobody else that's quite like it.
And then doneness indicators.
Okay.
What are we looking for the white rice that's sitting over there? Then pilaf.
All right, bring the camera over here and let's look. All right, so first up, let's check out where we're at with our risotto. Right now what's happening is it is starting to cream up just a little bit. We're going to wait until the broth is almost all the way gone. Then we're going to add another scoop. And we're going to keep doing that. You're going to go for a full 20 to 30 minutes. There's not a fast route out. There's not a fast way to make it. There are some risottos recipes out online that they're less stirring, right? Less stirring. They are cheats and frauds and should not be called risotto, and they should all go to pass for 10 days.
PASS. Pass.
Okay, let's check out our rices. So, bring the camera over this way a little bit. Hold on, let me move this so you don't get burnt. I find that it's very helpful not to burn your camera, dude.
Not burn me.
Don't burn the camera, dude! All right, here's plain rice. Now, we already salted it. Doesn't need salt. You could add some butter. Lots of people like a little butter on their rice. My dad especially. He likes butter on everything. When you're fluffing it, here's how you do it. Put your tines of your fork against the side. You're going to push it forward. Give it a little flick.
Noise. Love that noise.
Give it a little flick. It's got to rest for a full 5 minutes after cooking, because that's when the actual cooking's happening. If you've done it right, hold on, I'm gonna throw it out here. Done it right, you've got separate grains of rice. They're not broken. They're not mushy.
We're not clumping together.
Not clumping. Still got just a little bit of texture. If you were going to add butter, like a heathen, now would be a good time to do it. But maybe you're not a heathen, and you're not going to add butter. You're just going to have it as God intended, with just a little bit of salt. But maybe you don't believe in God, and you're going to put butter on it. But up to you. Up to you, man. Your eternal soul, whatever. I noticed that my pilaf, or not my pilaf, sorry, my risotto, you don't want it to cook all the way down to where it's starting to stick. That would be bad. I'm going to stir. I'm just going to keep it right here. Hot and going. My pilaf is done. I can turn that off.
Fire.
Now the pilaf, after it's done, it needs 5 minutes. Set a timer. You are permitted to use your phone to set a timer. Pull out your phone, set the timer to 5 minutes, and then come back to it. Okay? We're good.
No TikToking.
No TikToking. TikTok in the kitchen, be banned forever.
BANNED. Forever.
That doesn't spell banned.
Is it 2 N's or 1 N?
I'm just messing with it.
Oh God.
It's so much fun.
See, this is not fun.
It's so much fun.
Getting bullied on a Friday. That's what I signed up for.
I know, right? Let's talk about some of those other types of rice you were asking about. You can scoot back. It's going to be a little bit on this. So you'll notice that, dude, it has not been an hour, and I have completed for the most part all the prep and all of the making by myself. You can do this. You can. You just have to move quickly and efficiently. So on your cooking day, get in here and cook, man.
Move with purpose.
Move with purpose. You were asking about the other kinds of rice. Well, there are more. There's the you've heard of sushi rice, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Japonica. It's another Japonica rice.
Short rice.
Short grain rice.
Because people from Japan are short. Is there other rice from different regions like African rice?
Well, there is Carolina Gold.
Okay.
That's a short rice. It's from the U.S. Very popular, kind of interesting. There's Piedmontese, another Italian rice. I have personally never cooked with it because it's an Italian rice and they don't export a whole lot of it. And I have never worked at an Italian restaurant. True story. Not an especially interesting story, but true.
Lightning McQueen.
Lightning McQueen!
Lightning McQueen!
All right, so...
great harmonies.
I know. We are musical geniusy. You missed it.
Wait.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
The reveal.
All right, that pilaf looks delicious. So what we're going to do, we're going to put our parsley that goes in here right in the center.
3 tablespoons, so.
3 tablespoons is correct, sir. We're going to go on the outside and we're going to fluff it straight into the parsley. This is actually one of those dishes that looks easy, but to get it exactly right, it actually takes a little skill, and it's a good way to test and see if somebody knows anything about cooking. I worked for a guy who used to have us make our favorite rice pilaf as a test to see what part of the line he would put us on. It was crazy. The very first time that I took that test, I did not pass it. No, I did not.
You've watched a lot of cooking
How old
shows.
was I? They didn't have cooking shows back then.
No, but if you watch a lot of them, a lot of people mess up the rice pilaf and the risotto.
Yeah, because it looks simple, but it's not. So what should I do now, Chef Matt? What should I do now?
Did we fluff it?
We did.
Okay, let's eat it.
Close, so close,
We're not eating it.
so close. We should taste
Taste
it.
it. That was
So
close.
I have put 0 pepper in here. So there's a little bit of black pepper. You could also use white pepper if you don't want the black specks. I'm going to mix it in and I'm going to give it a good taste. And we'll taste it together. Like family. Now, we're not going to need much salt because that chicken stock base that we're using, it's mostly salt. That's also where it's getting this kind of pale yellow color. A couple things to note. The grains should feel separate. It should be a mush of rice. That's what most people do when they make rice pilaf, is it's mushy. The rice should be fluffy. It should be separate. This is where also you're going to make the mistake and overmix it and break up those tender grains of rice. You work so hard to get these tender, separate, long grains of fancy rice, and you're going to overstir it. You're going to break it apart. It's going to be sad.
Sad rice.
And you're going to get a D.
For sad rice.
D. Keep the lid on there. Hot rice will keep hot for about 40 minutes. Oddly enough, rice holds its temperature for a long time. Risotto is entering its 15th minute. It's got about another 10 minutes to go. We're going to let it keep going. give Chef Matt an opportunity to ask any more questions that he might have about rice in general, or
Going
questions
back.
he thinks you might have. Hey, there's a fun question. What do you think our students will ask us?
That's a great question. What happens if I burn my rice?
You'll have burnt rice.
Is there a way to recover my burnt rice?
No.
Okay.
Much like if you crash your car into a fire hydrant, you can't really uncrash your car. If you burn your rice, you've crashed your rice. You can't fix crashed rice.
So you mentioned that we're cooking all three rice dishes. How would you suggest dividing up the groups?
Okay.
if I'm in
Great.
group
Now
of four?
that's a really good question. I would have one person organize the ingredients, and then have 3 people cooking, one cooking each thing. And then as soon as the plain rice person is done, they can start collecting the dirty stuff. As soon as the rice pilaf person is done, because it'll take a little bit more time, they can start putting away everything that's not being used. And then you only have 2 people, then you only have one person at the stove, the guy stirring your risotto, and can also keep an eye on these 2 at the same time. We have 6 ovens, we have 6 groups. You can do this at one stove.
Do I need to bring my closed-toed shoes?
Oh, I'm not even going to answer that question. If you're asking questions about closed-toed shoes, you need to pull off your flip-flop
And we're not giving free shoes from the vegetable
We
box.
don't have free. We don't have. What is this? What is? We do not have free shoes.
This is not.
Get your own closed-toed shoes. It's written in the syllabus. You know, one of the interesting things about risotto, I think is interesting, is check this out. As you get further and further through the process, the rice is starting to get thicker and thicker. Look how pretty that is. Well, maybe you don't know that's pretty. I'll tell you now, that's really pretty. That's a really pretty risotto.
So on the cooking shows, how do they do this in the 7 minutes they say they gotta cook it?
They cannot.
So what do they do beforehand? They just have it already cooking?
It is like I'm sure you're aware, a lot of cooking shows are lies. No, it's a serious truth.
Yeah.
It's not real. It's not real. Are there cheats? Well, let's talk about one of the cheats. I'm sure everybody has heard of instant rice and converted rice, right? You've heard about that? Okay.
Yeah.
Instant rice and converted rice. Those are 2 types of products. In both cases, the rice has been stripped of all its nutritional properties. So all you have is the white endosperm, the starch endosperm. Then it's cooked. Then it's laid out on a giant sheet and freeze-dried. So you're not making rice. You're rewarming, rehydrating already cooked rice. Now, granted, at that point it has no nutritional content at all. You may as well be eating bits of styrofoam. Does it taste good? Sure it does. The reason it tastes good is they have sprayed it with flavor and with vitamins. So if you ever see something and it says enriched, fortified, converted rice, that is rice that has been hairsprayed with vitamins and minerals to replace everything that they just took out to make it convenient. It's a convenience product that is just terrible. It's just terrible. I don't think it has any redeeming values. At all.
Oh, at all.
Oh, my risotto is almost done.
That smells so good. You guys are missing all the smells.
We gotta make smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision? What's that? It's like Shrek 4D was the old ride at Universal.
Oh, Jude. Oh, Jude. Okay, so
Coming in.
when you're... Yeah, come on in. Come on over.
It's like, I feel like I'm in like a... You ever seen that show, The Big Bear in the Big Blue House?
I have not.
Oh, it's a kid's show back.
You know why I
in the
haven't
early
seen that
2000s.
show? Because I am not 12.
I watched it not too long ago.
I know. You were 12 3 days ago.
It's true, mentally.
Okay, so you're not here, guys. So I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have Chef Matt taste this so he knows what to tell you if you're in the kitchen and I'm not. All right. So this is hot. That right there is hot. All right.
Yum.
Okay, so it's still crunchy on the inside. You can still taste, it's still all, very much al dente. It's kind of soupy right now. This is still going to cook down. This is a perfect time to add our mushrooms. Don't need to add any salt at all. The chicken stock is very salty, and we've cooked down quite a bit of it. I am going to go ahead and add my black pepper. This is just a hefty pinch, and I'm going to add my shroomies. Now here's what you do. You're going to turn up the heat just a little bit. Done that? Okay. If you don't like mushrooms, you probably think that's disgusting looking. Okay, so here's the deal. This is where you get a little bit of say in the final product. How thin you want it to be. Do you want it to be very loose, so it's almost like a soup, a classic risotto? Do you want it to be a little bit thicker, what they like to call British risotto? Do you want to make it very, very thick, like they call it American risotto? By the way, no one in Europe goes American risotto. Delicious. Because it's not. It's not. We've kind of lost the point. But we're going to cook this down. Right about now is also where we're going to add our Parmesan. Parmesan can't go in earlier. It would stick to the bottom of the pan and burn.
No one likes burnt Parmesan.
So I'm just going to keep stirring right until it gets to the consistency I want. And you'll watch the liquid here get creamier and creamier. What's happening is the amylopectin, the starch on the outside of the rice, is getting knocked off by my spoon. It's going into it and it's making it thick and creamy.
What is the ingredient that's acting as a thickener for this?
The rice starch.
Okay.
The amylopectin is the thickener. That's what's the starch in the rice. Once I get to this point right here, where it still kind of pours almost, that's when I want to pull it off. Because it's going to sit there and thicken for a couple minutes. All right. All right, so it's time to finish this stuff. I got a tablespoon or so of parsley in here. I'm going to add a little bit extra parsley in here so it's a little bit brighter green right when I plate it. Because, you know, it's always important when you want us to grade your food that it looks the best it can. So I'm going to show you how to make sure your food looks good before you hand it to us to grade. That'd be great. All right, I'm going to stir in my parsley. When you're putting stuff onto a bowl, it's really helpful if you angle the food directly into the middle of the bowl. How much are you going to put out? As much as you can fit. So I left a little bit, but I got it there. And I take a tiny little bit of my parsley and put it right on top. Then I'm going to take a tiny little bit of my Parmesan and I'm going to put it right on top of that. There is my risotto. Grade-wise, that gets an A. How do I know it's an A? I made it. Same thing with my pilaf. You'll notice as it sat, I'm going to be gentle with it. It's already starting to break apart because I've let it sit here. Now, granted, I've been doing a whole lot of talking and it's just me. So, if it was you, you wouldn't let it get like this. It would still be, the rice would still be longer and fluffier. It is what it is.
Almost looks like couscous.
Right now it's starting to look like couscous, yeah. And that is from over-stirring.
Over-stirring.
Over-stirring and letting it sit too long. This really was ready a while back. So you are definitely going to have, when I post this recipe on this video, it's going to be half portion because you don't need to make that much rice. That's too much. And you're sitting there going, but Chef, I love rice. I want to eat more rice.
Chef, I want free food.
God, it's good. Dude, that is so good. A grilled chicken breast sitting right on top of that. Oh! Grilled salmon.
Ooh, I like that. fancier.
Oh, if you're gonna do grilled salmon, you can put some lemon peel in there.
Some acidity.
Then it's time for your white rice.
Boo! I was kidding.
Boo!
The more boring rice.
Notice. Now see, check out the difference. See how I didn't stir this one almost at all, and all the grains are still nice and long.
Yeah.
And you say, "Hey chef, does your white rice get a garnish?"
And we say,
Satan's garnish. Butter.
yeah! As Americans, we all love butter.
If you must. If you must. All right, rice 3 ways. Plain, white, just salt, no oil, no butter, no seasoning other than salt. Plain. We've got rice pilaf, famous Italian dish. Carrot, parsley, onion, sautéed. The rice is rinsed and then toasted with the onion. Stock added all at once, not stirred at all, allowed to cook for 20 minutes, then it rests for 5, then it's fluffed. Risotto, it is not rinsed, it's toasted, just like the risotto, but it's not rinsed first. Different kind of rice altogether. This is the arborio short grain rice. Mushrooms and shallots, sautéed, set to the side, then the rice is toasted. Stock is added while it's stirred for about 20 to 25 minutes. Mushrooms go back in, and it comes up this wonderful texture. This wonderful texture. All 3 textures are totally different based on how it's cooked. This one almost has a texture like soup. All right, everybody. Here's the story. You're gonna make some. Oh God, it's so good. Oh, good. Please make your risotto as good as mine. I need you to do that. Hey, one last note before I let you go. It's very, very important. We discovered along the way that this chicken stock is so salty. So it says on there, and what I demonstrated to you was about a teaspoon per cup. You're going to need to go lighter than that. So when you taste it, it should not taste salty at all, because as it condenses, it gets overwhelmingly salty. And me and Chef Matt both like salt, but this isn't stupid. Okay? Go light. Go light. All right. You guys have fun cooking, and we'll see you in the kitchen.